Welcome back to the Brand Ambassador series. We're going back to France. Calvados it is. You know, the apple spirit. Well, not just apple, but let's keep it at that for now. With Jean-Roger Groult and the Calvados Group. Thank you very much for being here today. And we need to talk about these wonderful brandies because it's the brandy category.
Yeah,
but it's a bit more specific than that.
One of the three famous French spirits with cognac, Armagnac. The third one is Calvados.
Right.
One of the oldest. It exists for 500 years, and in my family we produced it for 5 generations. My great-great-grandfather started in 1850 to distillate, because it's a distillation of apple cider, you know.
Right.
We first produce cider that is distillated and aged in oak barrels. So it's the passion of our family for many, many years.
But there are many producers in Calvados.
Yes, a lot. Some big producers and a lot of really small producers. Because in Normandy, traditionally, the Calvados was made by farmers in the farm. All the farms in Normandy have apple trees, and all the farmers typically used to produce cider and also to distillate a little. It was the beverage for the workers, for the family, etc. And you know, in the past, people used to drink the Calvados they just produced the year. It was not aged. And I'm lucky that my great-great-grandfather had the idea to age his Calvados, to start to age it in barrels, not to drink it. It was not easy, but
very tough decision.
it was very difficult for him, maybe. But he had a stock of aging Calvados, and that's why that's made the difference at this time with other producer. And
so today there's one Groult who's taking care of the family.
It's me.
You took over your father.
Yeah, after my father, it's 5 generations from father to son. In fact, in the domain where we are, the family is here for 8 generations. In fact, but it was a big farm, and that used to produce cider. But it's for 5 generations that we distillate to produce Calvados, and now I run the distillery. I mean, now it's the only one activity, Calvados production.
Okay,
in the past, it was one part of the activity.
But are there brothers, daughters, sons in the way? Are there brothers and sisters helping you?
Me, I have 2 sisters. They are not really in the business. One is architect, the other one works in financials, but sometimes they help me to meet clients, yeah. Okay. And me, I try to do everything.
So you distill.
Yeah.
You market.
Yeah. Yes, everything.
But so what are you doing here now? This is we're in the fall, isn't it? When you take care of the cider making and.
Actually,
the apples are
it's the harvest period of apples. But I have this year we don't have a lot of apples, so I have more time for traveling. And no, I try to do everything. Of course, you spend a lot of time for sales, commercial part. But the domain, I spend a lot of time with my cellar master. I really enjoy that. We have a huge stock of Calvados, you know, likely 1 million bottle of stock, but in barrels. And so when you have so much different barrels, you can try a lot of new things, new blends, etc. So
you're having fun.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, then let's talk about the apple.
Yeah.
The tree, the varieties.
The variety in Normandy, there exist more than 300 varieties of cider apples.
Right. So you're talking about not the apples that.
No. They're cider apples. Majority of them are bitter, and we have also bittersweet apples and acid apples. But they are not the apples for eating, and they are smaller. It's totally different than the apples for eating, and so in Normandy it's the heaven of apples. More than 300 varieties. Our appellation, Calvados Pays d'Auge, you know, it's a small area of Normandy, Pays d'Auge. It's maybe the most famous appellation of Calvados. We have a list of 50 varieties that are allowed. And among those 50 varieties, I have 30 of them. My domain is 25 hectares of orchard. And it represents each year something like 400 tons of apples. So we harvest from the end of September until approximately in the middle of December. So it's a very
Oh,
large
so
period.
it's not just one big week of
No,
harvest.
no, no, no. It's no. Fortunately for us, because it would be too much apples for pressing. No, it's more than 2 months.
Right.
Because you have varieties that are apples that are mature in September, at the end of September.
Right.
Other varieties like La Noël des Champs, in English would be the Christmas of field, something like that. The name of the apple. We harvest it close to Christmas at the end of December,
Wow.
middle of December. So when we harvest the apples, we let them on a big platform outside, few days. The fruit will be more mature. The water in the fruit will evaporate a little, so we have more concentration.
You want some concentration of the sugars.
After we press the fruits to obtain the must, the apple juice naturally, and I let it ferment naturally. We don't add anything.
There's any yeast that you add to it?
Nothing. We just let it with a lees during 1 year, in fact.
And that's commanded by law? You can...
No. By law, we have to wait minimum 6 weeks.
Right.
But the big producers would do that, but small producers in general keep the cider a few months. Particularly, we prefer keeping it 1 entire year before distillation.
And why is that?
So you will reach naturally the biggest alcohol degree you can. So it's between 6 and 7% of alcohol, and you will have a cider more mature in taste. You know, in French, it would be plus un peu rassis. Ouais. Donc, we start to distillate in September. The cider we have produced the
year before.
Yeah.
I see. But if you're a big company and you need to produce a lot, then you don't have time for all this.
They can't. No, they don't have time. They distillate after a few weeks after the harvest.
But then you're missing that complexity.
Probably. It's a different product. When a fresh cider will have also qualities, but personally we prefer the complexity of all the ciders. And
the apples have to stay in a particular condition? Is it in a warehouse where you keep
No, they're
cold,
outside. No. Naturally,
outside?
Yes.
What if it freezes? What if it's very cold one day?
Yeah, if it's very cold, it's not bad because it's the water that will be freezed in the fruits, so it will be more concentrated. But we have amounts of apples, so it's not cold enough to freeze the fruit in Normandy.
Well, when you say you never use a brand new barrel, the barrel has to be new at some point.
It has to be new.
Well, it's going to be coming from the cooperage.
Yeah.
But is it going to another producer before?
No, we before us. Personally, I've never bought barrels. I still use the barrels my father used to buy, but they were used when they bought it. In general, our barrels were bought from wine or cognac producer, and then they were open, grattés à l'intérieur, je ne sais pas comment. Scraped, and after they used to stock cider in the barrel to give apple tannins to the wood, and then they were used for Calvados.
I see.
Yeah, and you know, I still use. It's incredible. I still use the barrels my great grandfather used to buy at the end of the 19th century.
Wow.
And they have never been empty totally. We always use a Solera method of blending.
Right.
We add Calvados to maintain the alcohol degree over 40, and but there's very old barrels have never been empty. For example, we will taste after the Âge d'Or. It's this system of blending for 60 years. My grandfather started to use this barrel for Âge d'Or in 1952, something like that. And each year we add Calvados between 20 and 25 years old in this barrel. Wow. So you have a very complex blend from 25 to 60 years old Calvados.
But then if say for 5 years in a row you have an amazing harvest, every year there are so many apples, you need to make more cider, distill more cider, you need to grow. You need more.
I have a lot of space, free space, and we have big barrels that are only full at the. They are not full, only at the half of the barrel. We want that to have more contact with the air, oxygen, etc. And so, if one day I have a big harvest, it was the case last year, where the harvest was huge. We made something like 50% more than a big harvest, usual big harvest. It's incredible. I still have cider of last year. We are distillating cider of last year. I will have enough space to
So then
to
you're
store it.
talking about huge barrels,
Yeah. So
not just those small barrels.
no, I don't have a lot of small barrels. I have a few 300 liters barrels, but the most I have is 2,000 liters. You know, we want to focus. The Calvados is really a brandy when you can smell the fruit. You know, even in 8 years, you have the
This is creamy.
you have the apple taste, and we want even for all the Calvados, we want to keep the taste of apple. So I really don't want to focus on the wood. So that's why we never buy new barrels. Because, when I say we, it's not all the producer, it's me. Never buy new barrels, and I prefer using big barrels to have more fruit focus on the taste.
Right.
We prefer really age the Calvados by blending and by ventilation. You know, Calvados never stay all its life in one barrel. We always draft barrel to mix with another one, etc. There is a cycle of aging.
Well, you must be going crazy with keeping records of all this. You write everything in a book, or you just know over there.
My cellar master has a lot of things in the head. He can become crazy one day.
Well, I think we should taste it.
I think so.
Santé.
Santé. You've seen that even in the nose, we still have the fruit. And then the palate, you have the apple, and you start to have notes like vanilla, cinnamon. But we focus on the fruit. It's important for me.
With the apple,
it's a bit spicy at the end, yeah.
Definitely there as number one.
And the how do you say, the aftertaste is very long. You know, we don't use filtration. We do not chill filter the Calvados.
Right.
So it's a little fat. That's why we have this feeling of warm. It's not aggressive. It's warm, and you feel it after. You will remember me all the day long after this tasting.